We continue with the 19th chapter of the book of Tehillim, a chapter which you may be familiar with because it is recited every single Shabbat. Lam Natseach Mizmor LeDavid. Again, we have very often Lam Natseach for the leader of the choir. This is a psalm of David. So we have then the last chapter with the longer. And what is this chapter? Hashamayim misaprim kivod el umaaseh yadav magid harakia. The heavens declare the glory of God. The sky proclaims his handiwork, which is really interesting to think about the words that they're using here. Misaprim and magit. Last time I checked, I guess maybe I'm wrong. Thunder and rain, these things make noise. Wind makes noise. So maybe that's what it's referring to. The heavens, right? The heavens doesn't really mean like we think the heavens where God is. It means the atmosphere or whatever. The heavens declare the glory of God. The sky proclaims his handiwork. Those noises, but it should be obvious to us. We should be able to see it. It's so obvious that you look around this world, maybe not in the shopping mall parking lot that I'm currently parked in, but strip mall parking lot. But, if you're out in nature, you see the beauty of the world, you look up to the sky, you see the aurora borealis or whatever. I didn't see it here. I don't know if you guys saw it on Saturday night. If you could see it in your area, right? It calls out to us. We should be able to see it. Yomi liyom yabia omer. Day to day, it makes utterances. V'layla l'layla yichavedat, and night to night it speaks out. So both during the day and at night would seem more obvious during the day than during the night, but both day and night, the wonders of nature speak of God and God's greatness. Ein omer v'ein devarim, b'li nishma kolam. There is no word, there's no utterance, there's nothing said whose sound goes unheard. Right? God, God is there. There's something coming out of everything. Every little, this is like a sort of more mystical Hasidic teaching. Every leaf, every branch, has myriad of reasons and significance and importance in all sorts of worlds that God has created. B'chol haaretz yatsa kavam uviksei tevel milehem lashemesh. Some ohel bahem. The voice carries throughout the earth their words to the end of the world. He placed in them a tent for the sun. So all over the world, God's creation God's creation is there, and it's obvious, and it speaks to us, and we can hear it, or we should hear it. It's demonstrating. And it's so much. V'hu kichatan yetzei mechupato yasis k'gibor larutz orach, who's like a groom coming forth from his chamber, from the chuppah, like a hero eager to run to do his bidding and his job. Right. So this is I believe what it means. My understanding of it is it's like the sun is like God's groom coming out as God to greet, if you want to put it in a mystical sense, the female, the earth, the Jewish people. It's like a hero racing out, rushing for God. This has to do, I would say, in a sense, with the word shemesh, probably mentioned in the past. The word shemesh, we know means the sun, but it's related to like the word shamash, the guy who would fold the talesim in the back of the shul. The middle candle on your menorah on Hanukkah, on your Chanukiah, which you would use to light the other candles. It's just a helpmate. It's a helper. It's a messenger. The sun is a messenger of God's. It's not a God in its own. It's not like in Egypt. It's just the Shemesh. It's just a helper. And so it runs out to, it runs out to do God's bidding. Miksei, we're in verse 7, Pasuk Zayin. Miksei hashamai motzao. Utkufa'to al k'tzotam v'ein nistar mechamato. His high rising place is at one end of the heaven, and his circuit reaches the other. Nothing escapes his heat. Right? God's messenger, the sun, goes to all the places. And now we have a change in the sense of this chapter. You could even almost imagine that it was originally 2 chapters, because we go from the celestial beings, the talking about the sun, the noises, whether it's earthquakes or hurricanes, or whether it's lightning and thunder, or it's simply just an allusion to we should be able to hear the beauty of nature. Now we go from the natural world to a different thing. Torat Adonai Tmima Mishivat Nafesh Edut Adonai Ne'emana Machkimat Peti. Well-known song has been made from these words. The teaching of God is perfect. Right? God renews our lives in the sense through that teaching. The decrees of God are forever. They endure. They make the simple person or the fool, a petty, some places call a simple person, other places referred to as a fool. They make the person wise. So here we've gone from the incredible world to the Torah. And here the Torah, I would say, is this not specifically the 5 books of Moses, but it means the teachings of God, the teachings of Judaism, the moral, the ethical reasons, also the religious mitzvot, the ritual mitzvot as well. But that is the brilliance that's coming from this different perspective. Pekudei Adonai yisharim misamchei lev mitzvot Adonai bara mi'irat einayim. God's, right, the mitzvot of God are just. The instruction of God is clear. It lights up my eyes, which is interesting if you think about, right? It's clear, a contrast. First half of the chapter to talk a lot about the Shemesh coming out, doing God's wonder. Nothing, everything gets the heat of the sun. The sun is everywhere from one place. But what lights up our eyes is not the sun. What lights up our eyes is God's mitzvot, God's Torah, the way that we should act in this world, the instruction that God gave us for the way we're supposed to act. Yirat Adonai tehora omedet la'an mishpatei Adonai emet tzadku yachdav. The fear of God is pure. What does it mean? The fear of God does it mean the awe of God. It's something that lasts forever. God's forever. God's Torah is forever. And therefore, the fear, the love, the awe of God is forever. God's judgment, the judgments of God are true. They're righteous together. It's an interesting thing. Look at the second end of this verse. Mishpatei Hashem emet. The rules of God are true. Tzadku yachdav, together. Sometimes you look at a law, you say, I don't understand this law. But if you look at the system, hopefully the system of laws makes sense, that even just an individual law, right, would it make sense? But when it's yachdav, when we look at the entire picture, things make more sense. Hanechmadim, we're in verse 11, Pasuk Yalav, mi zahav, umi pazrav, umetukim midvash, vinofet sufim. God's laws, God's Torah is more desirable than gold. It's finer than gold. It's sweeter than honey, than drippings that are coming straight from the honeycomb, not the packaged stuff that they place with corn syrup in our grocery stores these days. The real stuff, the pure honey. Gam avdechan is harbahem, bishomram ekevrav. Your servant, he pays attention to them. He listens to them. The definition of the servant of God is this person who listens to God's teachings, who learns from God's teaching. And his obeying of them, is listening to them, in a sense, is the reward itself. Because what it does to you, how it changes your life. Shkiot miyavin me nistarot nakeni. Who can see, who can understand errors? Clear me of this guilt. And this is an interesting verse here. Up to this point, we're talking about everything that in a sense is perfect, the incredible heavens and the noises. And you look up and you say, wow, what a world, how an amazing thing. Look, it must be God. This speaks about the beauty, speaks about the creation. Oh, and look at the Torah with all of its instructions of how we're supposed to act and how we're supposed to treat people, and kindness and goodness and remembering, etc., etc. But sometimes we're human. We make mistakes. We're not like the heavens. We're not like the perfect Torah. Shkiot, we make error. God, you may not make errors, but we make errors. Continuing in verse 14, Gam mizedim choshech avdecha al yimshelu vi'az etam v'niketi mi pesha rav. And from also not just accidents, but from keep us from sinning, God, from wanting to sin. Let not the sins sort of control us. Let them not dominate us. It's in the first person, it's me. And if that happens, that you keep me from sins, that you help me, God, that you let them not dominate me, they don't take over me, they become habitual and regular, then I'll be blameless and clear of grave offenses. And we finish, as we know, this verse even more so, Yihiyu l'ratzonim rifi, may the words of my mouth and the prayer of my heart be acceptable to you, O rock, my redeemer. The rock, God, that's forever, but it's not just a rock, not just something you can rely on. It's a go ali. It's something that helps redeem you. So the two, right? It's not just I rely upon God, I sit in God's shade, but God also is active. God is my redeemer. And here, obviously, I think very beautiful piece of Tehillim, very beautiful passage, the natural world, the beauty of the instruction, the idea of the Torah, the contrast to the human being who makes mistakes, who despite the beauty of the Torah, who despite looking out at the world, sometimes we just don't listen. We don't want to listen. We don't feel like listening. We want to rebel, whatever it might be. And we ask God to protect us, to keep us away, not for that to become a habit, not for that almost to become an addiction. And so, and it ends with this last pasuk, this pasuk 15, which of course we say at the end of the Amidah, the end of Shemona Esrei, that God, what we say, you should see as acceptable. And interestingly, and this comes back to some of the previous chapters, not really the last one, but prior to that, where again there was a lot of talk about deceitful tongues and people saying one thing but meaning something else, liars and cheats, and right. That's not who this is. That's not who David HaMelech is. That's not who the Mishorer is. The words of my mouth and the prayer of my heart are the same. I'm not going to play one game and be somebody else. The person who I am is the person who I am. And hopefully that's acceptable to you, God. And so keep me away from the wicked and let my following of your mitzvot be the reward in itself, which we know that it is.